Peace family, Conjure Queen here, and if you're not already, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and hit that bell so you'll always be notified of new videos. In this particular video, I want to talk about the download that I got regarding what's coming to New York City and what's also coming to a lot of major cities, especially in the Americas right now. So I got the download recently that, there's going to be a lot of budget cuts when it comes to the sanitation department, when it comes to the Department of Education, when it comes to the police department. And for most people, you're probably not thinking that's much of a big deal, right? Budget cuts. But then we got to think, well, wait a minute. They're sending billions of dollars to other countries, and this country is way overhead in debt. And what I'm about to tell you might blow your mind, but I'm just gonna plant the seed and you think whatever you want to think. But what if I told you that the American government is no longer the American government, and that they are putting up a facade to make you think that the government is still one whole? But the truth is, there's been a lot of shakedowns, there's been a lot of separations, arguments, and chaos going on behind the scenes that they're not showing. That's why they want to keep you distracted with all of this different nonsense that's happening in the media. Everything isn't what it seems. But the crazy part is, what if I told you that the people who are actually taking over America, they want to make the American system look so stupid, so retarded, have the whole world laugh at them in order to shut down their systems? Because we got to think for a moment, what was America built on? How old is America? It's not that old. When you study history and you look back at other civilizations, other dynasties, other kingdoms and queendoms, they lasted for thousands of years. The Americas, not that long, only a few centuries? Couple? When you consider it's still a baby nation, and look how much chaos they have caused. So remember what Conjure Queen told you about how the energies will be shifting. Those who are first will be last, and those who are last will be first. Well, we're seeing that happen. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but back in 2020, or I believe it was 2019, I'll post the details here, but me and a Divine Royalty group, and those who remember the video, we did a group ritual during the Aries full moon to turn things upside down, to put the oppressors down, and to allow the true heirs to rise up. Because as you guys already know, right, like I said, how was America founded? Well, on rape, pillage, theft, destruction, lies, chaos, right? A lot of blood has been spilled here. And I know some of you were saying, well, that's war, that's human nature. It's always been wars and fights for conquering places and other kingdoms. I get it. But we're shifting in energy now, and those who have taken power unjustly, ma'at, nature, God, spirit, whatever label you want to put on it, is stepping up now. Energy is very real, and we understand that what goes around comes around, right? The energy that you put out comes back to you, right? There's no escaping karma. It doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how powerful you are, or how well connected you may be. When karma comes to collect, best to believe she's coming, okay? And that's what we're seeing happening right now. And that's why a lot of the dead have been rising up and getting justice. We have been seeing and hearing about so many things popping up. I just posted on my Instagram stories a couple of days ago about, it was a young girl that they found probably 30 years ago. She was dumped in this ditch and nobody could identify her, because back in the days they didn't have the technology, the DNA technology that they do now. And then what happens during Scorpio season? Her spirit rises up and she just puts the seed in the detective's heads, or whoever had that case, to go back and touch it again, right? And they found out who the little girl was, and they also discovered who her parents was. Her spirit and her soul was able to get rest, because the same people who put her in that concrete container and left her there to die in the woods, and her soul was trapped with nobody knowing where she was, who she was, she finally was able to get some peace because those people were her parents. Disgusting. This is what I mean by justice, okay? Any wrongdoings that have been done and have been swept under the rug, right? It is being pushed to the forefront. We're hearing about what's happening with Diddy, right? Now, to the world, everybody is surprised by what's been happening with Diddy, or Puff, or Puff Daddy, as he was called back in the day. Everybody in New York already knew how he was. He was always a snake character. He always moved funny, right? And the crazy part is, and I'm gonna have to put allegedly, right, for legal purposes, allegedly, a lot of Brooklynites, Brooklyn heads especially, figured he was the reason behind Biggie no longer being here. And guess what? That truth is also about to be revealed. That's why he had to hurry up and shut up Cassie, because she knows things. She knows a lot of things about him. The world is just starting to find out Diddy was always a snake. I don't know if you guys remember making a band. Like, he did some really foul stuff to those people. And some of them even spoke out about it, but nobody believed them. I remember a while ago, I was younger, and I remember I was working in the city, and Bad Boy Studios was there, and it was upstairs. I was working downstairs, and the things that I saw working there would blow your mind. And, you know, I have to say this, and I know some of y'all may think I'm crazy for saying this, but I've seen some people walk in and out of that place that don't even look human. Like, I'm talking about, you ever look into somebody's eyes and like it's no pupils, it's just all black, or like you don't even see the white in their eye, or it's just something off about it. Like, their eyes look glazed over, they skin look glass-like and not real, like they're either plastic, synthetic, or robotic. I don't even know how to describe it, because one thing that I've learned diving down this rabbit hole is sometimes fact is more stranger than fiction. And we hear a lot of crazy things that happen in the entertainment industry. We hear about people who talk about blood sacrifices and there being reptilians or these otherworldly beings that really run the show behind the scenes, right? And then the artists or the musicians that we see in front of us, right, the puppets who are selling us a message, sometimes they're not even real. They're a shadow or a copy or a clone, dare I say, of the original person. And many celebrities have spoke out about this, and what happens? They end up getting shut up, shut down. Some type of huge smear campaign goes on their name, right? So you gotta realize these are people who depend on this industry to feed them. This is how they take care of their families. So they probably get scared and they shut up because they don't want nothing to happen to their loved ones. The things that I saw, I'll never forget this, and I'm going to say this right now because sometimes to this day it still bothers me. I remember when I was working down there below Bad Boy Studios, and I remember they would come into the restaurant. I worked in a restaurant at the time. I was a maitre d', so it was my responsibility to greet everybody that came in, right? Like, I knew every face that came into that restaurant. Now, I remember there was one time, like, a lot of artists that was under Bad Boy would come into the restaurant. Obviously, we're downstairs, they're upstairs, so it's the closest place for them to get some food. And it was a pretty, you know, upscale, nice restaurant. Now, I remember there was one girl, and she looked so young, not underage, but she looked very young, but she looked like she was in trouble. And the way that I knew something wasn't right was the guy that she walked in with, the way that he was holding her. You know how when you're a couple, right, and you and your boo is like locked arm in arm, right, like that? He had her held kind of like that way, but she looked like she didn't want to be there, and she kept giving me this look like, girl, I'm in trouble, get me out of here. Like, I don't know, but her eyes were just saying that to me, right? So I walked over to her table, because remember, I had to seat them when they first came to me asking for a table for two. They sat down or whatever, and I just, like, something told me, like, walk over to the girl's table just to check and make sure everything is okay. So I walk over there, I check. The girl is not even talking. It's like she looked like she was here but not here, but her eyes told me like she wanted help. So I told my manager, right, I'm like, that girl over there at that table, I think something's wrong, right? Like, I get this feeling like she may need help or she may be in trouble. Like, should we call the police? What should we do? And you know what he told me? He was like, what do you mean? He was like, she looks fine to me. He was like, that's none of your business. Your business is just to do X, Y, and Z, right? That's your job. Don't worry about that. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, nah, like, that don't sit right with me, bro. I'm like, we should do something. Like, and he just was like, that's not our job. And what are we gonna do, right? Like, it's gonna make us look stupid if we just call the police over assumptions. And technically, he was correct. Mind you, I was younger at the time. I didn't know what to do. And I knew that they was connected to the studio upstairs. Just the fact that we knew, right? We knew that certain customers were elite customers. So we were kind of told to treat them a certain way. They would sit at a certain table in the back. Things like that. Like, they had a little private area and stuff. So I just say this, right? Like, the guy and the lady, she didn't eat anything, which was crazy. It was like she was just with him. She wasn't talking. She never once opened her mouth. And she never once said anything. She just looked, her eyes looked like she was in trouble. And I don't know if y'all know, but like, I'm sensitive. Like, I am intuitive. I can feel energy without anybody telling me anything. And I wanted to help that girl. Like, I was waiting for a moment to talk to her, but like, either like if she went to the bathroom by herself, that guy was not letting her go anywhere. When I tell you he had a tight grip on her, he wasn't letting her go anywhere. And I never seen that girl again. Like, she never came back in the store again. I don't know if she could have been a trafficking victim. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I don't even know if she was human. I don't know anything. All I know is she looked very odd. She looked very weird. And I remember because I told my mom about it when I had got home. I was like, Mom, you won't believe what I saw today. And my mom, she's very open-minded. She's a Sagittarius, right? Like, they're very innovative, open-minded people. And I told her, I think that I saw somebody who wasn't a human today. And she says, I believe it. She was like, I believe that there's aliens and there's other beings that walk amongst us that wear human skinwalkers, and they're not really human. I believe it. And my mother told me stories about what she saw. My grandmother's stories and great-grandmother's stories. That, you know, we come from a Cherokee tribe here. So there's a lot of stories in American Indian culture about skinwalker and people who were able to shapeshift. Like, this was something that was well known, common knowledge at the time in those days. But through time, our culture got erased and a lot of the descendants forgot those stories. But those entities still live here. And if you want to do your own research, there's actually a book called Space Age Aliens and Space Age, is it Space Age Aliens or Space Age Indians? I'm gonna put the link below. But it changed my mind. It was a woman who traveled the world talking to many indigenous people, and she did research and interviews, and she was talking to people who served in the military, different age groups, young, old, and she basically realized that when she traveled the world and talked to these indigenous people, especially here in the Americas, she said that all of their stories sound very similar, and they described a lot of these UFOs or these extraterrestrial beings that we know of today, like blue-looking people, reptile-looking people, tall, slim-looking people that had like white or transparent-like hues. All of this being documented in that book. So go check that out, because when I read that book later on in life, it made me think about that moment when I worked in that restaurant, when I seen that girl that looked like her eyes, something was off with her eyes, but she wanted help. We gotta realize that a lot of the times these celebrities like Diddy, they're very well connected. But Diddy, he's very smart because he connected himself to people that made him untouchable, and that's why people were afraid to speak out, and everybody who was about to speak out or did speak out on him, they end up dead. Do your research. I don't make this up. And ask any New Yorker about Diddy. They're going to tell you the stories about how he did Biggie, about how he crossed a lot of people in the music industry. A lot, allegedly, right? I gotta throw that word in there to protect my own self legally. Man, listen, I'm just gonna say this. We are living in times now where if you have any type of things that you've hid, if you've done any type of demonic, devious, evil stuff, it's gonna catch up to you. It's catching up. And that's why we're seeing all of these celebrities that everybody looked up to, right? Will and Jada, everybody used to worship them. They thought that was couple goals. But now the people are starting to realize that, oh, wait a minute, this was an illusion. This whole entire time, all of these people that I worship like a god, they're not really real? Oh yeah, but you know, they have to slowly ease you into this, because if they drop everything on the population so suddenly, people are not gonna know how to act. It's going to be chaos and confusion. I already told y'all they about to make budget cuts to the police enforcement. They're about to make budget cuts to sanitation. They're about to make budget cuts to the educational system. So that affects our youth, our children. They don't have the proper tools and the things that they need to have a good education. But then again, this might be a good thing, some may say, because we got to realize where the educational system was founded upon anyway. Right? It was built to indoctrinate the indigenous people here and wipe their brains clean of their cultural roots. They wanted to put in their minds and get them ready for the industrial era. Back then, that's when the whole industrial revolution was happening. They were training children on how to be good workers. But guess what? We live in a new time now where we have ChatGPT, we have Google, we have, children can now find information and study any topic that they want by finding the information themselves online through YouTube University. Who needs the educational system anymore? It's irrelevant at this point. And that time of isolation, when everybody was locked in the house and couldn't go out, it proved that we don't need that system. Parents learned that they can educate their own children and teach their own children from home. The sanitation system, well, you guys already know New York City is known for its king-size rats. So if you thought it was bad before, it's about to get really bad. And what happens when you have a whole bunch of rats running around? Sounds like another bubonic plague coming, right? Isn't that what happened in Europe, right? The Black Death because of pestilence and sickness, and it was dead bodies all over the place. These rats carry diseases. Oh yeah, pestilence is coming. Why do you think Conjure Queen's been telling you guys to prepare, right? Like get your immunity up to know what's coming. Things are going to get worse before they get better. We're not fear-mongering because we feel like this is exactly what we asked for. This system is corrupt. It's only been comfortable because we've been conditioned to like it, right? It's convenient. It's convenient. Especially if you're a person who depends on government assistance. They're very wise and they're very smart and they know what they're doing. These are people who know how the mind works. They know about the subconscious mind. They know about magic and sorcery. These are sorcerers that we're dealing with. And the reason I create my platform is so that I can give and teach you the tools that you need. The same tools that they use to enslave your mind and keep you a slave to their system is the same tools that you can use to liberate yourself and your people and your family and your loved ones. You can protect yourself. You can fight back. This is why they took it away from us. This is why they told us this is evil, to stay away from it. Remember? Oh, y'all must have forgot history. But you know what? I'm not shaming you because for a while, I didn't know my own history. Didn't know. We only knew the history that they taught us in school. The educational system indoctrinated our brains. But you know what? Some of us probably even knew back in school that shit didn't even resonate with us. Something didn't feel right. I used to hate history class. It was boring as hell to me because I just felt like, wait a minute, like who wrote this? This don't sound right. Like it just sounds very made up. It didn't resonate in my spirit. It wasn't only until I stumbled upon, 2007, I stumbled upon Rihanna's Umbrella video and somebody was talking about Illuminati symbols. I'm like, what the hell is that? And that drove me down the rabbit hole to open my mind to truth. I had to search for the truth. Whatever is thrown at you and forced down your throat, right? And you're ridiculed for not believing. If anybody's forcing anything on you, first of all, you need to just take a step back and realize why they going so hard to force this down your throat. Why do they care so much that you know this information or not? Why does it determine if you are able to have a good life in society, whether you can regurgitate everything that your teachers taught you from elementary all the way to university? Because that's what educational system really is. It's not really about learning. It's really about how much can you remember? How much programming can you hold in your brain? And the more programming you can hold, the higher grades you get, right? A+. Oh, this student here, they know how to obey. They know how to hold this indoctrination information in their mind. We don't got to worry about this one. But the problem child, the child that doesn't want to sit still, the child that fails in class miserably because they don't give a fuck about any of this fake stuff, the child who gets bad grades because maybe, you know what, this stuff is irrelevant to them. It doesn't resonate to their spirit. They can't sit through it because their soul and spirit knows it's lies. That child, the rebellious child that talks back, doesn't comply. Well, they do everything in their power to ridicule that child, to make that child an example, okay? It's a reason for that. So don't be so quick to discipline your children if they are rebellious against their teachers, because there may be a reason for it. Teachers don't tell the full story. They'll just say, oh, your child is bad, your child don't listen. Well, wait a minute. How is my child bad and how don't they listen? How are you talking to my child? And you know what? I don't even know if they even allow this anymore, but back then parents were able to volunteer and sit in a classroom and see what the children were learning. I know my mother did. She wanted to know what these teachers was teaching me. Only thing I'm saying, y'all, is times is going to be changing. The police system, the police department is going to be defunded. That means more crime. So it's going to be more rats in New York, more crime in New York, and poor education. We all know what this leads to, right? Crime, poverty, killing, more jail, more slaves to make for them. Because once you go into the prison system, you no longer have your liberties. And you can't do things that you once could anymore. You can't own a gun to defend yourself, right? You can't travel. I think they got a restriction. I think, and anybody correct me if I'm wrong, right? But I think sometimes some people can't even travel if they've been through the prison system, or they're limited to where they can travel. I just encourage y'all to do your research. And more truths are going to be coming out. Changes are happening, but the system has to fall and fail, and it has to be humiliated in front of the world so people can learn the truth about what this country really is built on, because they've been spreading propaganda and lies throughout history for so long. My eye is not playing right now. And side note, family, please stay out of those waters. Don't go on cruises. Please just stay out of the waters right now, because the energy is very intense. If y'all asking me for how long, I'm just feeling like, you know, if you can, try to stay out of those waters for at least like during this season, Scorpio season, Sag season. I don't know why, but I'm feeling like those are the seasons where it's really going to get real. Okay, talk to your spirit guides, meditate on it. If you already got trips planned, listen, I would just say pray, meditate, set your intentions. But if anything is blocking you, if anything is stopping you, okay, from going on this trip, and you be like, yo, what the hell? Like, I feel like something's blocking me from going. Listen to that, because it could be your spirit guides protecting you. Y'all see Final Destination, right? Boy got a premonition and was like, oh, nah, I'm not getting on that plane. Y'all can stay on this plane. I'm not getting on this plane. I saw this plane blow up. I'm not getting on it. And what happened? Plane blew up. Can't make this shit up. Made this video long enough, family. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it below. Let me know what you think, family. I know we covered a lot of topics in this video, right? But let me know your thoughts. Share any information that you have. And if there's any topics or any things that you want me to talk about on this platform, feel free to drop it below. I love you so much, family. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share with a friend, because sharing is caring, and the more people that know, the more souls that wake up, and the more we can liberate ourselves as a people. Until next time, Conjure Queen signing out. Peace.